Hello, this is Alex from phpacademy.org, and this is a video tutorial for the new Boston. Now in this video we're going to be looking at our php.ini file. Now ini files, or ini files, however you decide to pronounce them. I say ini just because I'm being literal and saying each character. Is basically a configuration file. So you know that as soon as we see the file php.ini, we automatically know that this is a PHP configuration file. Now, what is our configuration file, our PHP configuration file, and where can we find it? Now, I've opened my text editor here, so I can open this file and we can have a look through at some of the features inside it and how we can change things about our PHP installation. So you can have a good look at this, maybe print it out, take it around with you, look at different things, because it's really useful to get to know inside of your php.ini file, because a lot of PHP problems that you'll later realize when you're coding actually come down to the settings in your php.ini file. So let's create an open dialog, open up an open dialog. Now you can see that at the moment I'm in c:\\examp/php. Now this is because I'm running an examp package. You can see here I've got my examp control panel open, and I've got Apache MySQL running, blah blah blah. This is just my package that I've installed that contains Apache along with PHP installed with Apache. So this is our folder with PHP, and it's got all the information and the runtime DLLs about with regards to our PHP installation. Now obviously the file we want is, let's just find it, it would be here, is php.ini. So this is the typical location, depending on whether you've installed PHP yourself, if you've installed Apache and PHP yourself, or if you're using a package such as xampp, lamp, some of the others ones, we've got wamp, I think. So let's go ahead and just open up our php.ini. Now obviously if you are having trouble finding this, you can just do a local search on your computer. Just make sure it looks like it's in a sort of relative location to your local web server. Okay, so when we open up this file, you notice that we have a warning and a bit about php.ini. Now this is very important. By default, PHP installs itself with a configuration suitable for development purposes and not for production purposes. Now what this means is the default installation php.ini is not suitable for when you were to, if you were to say, okay, so I've got a local web server on my computer, here's my IP address, you can see what pages I'm running. Always, 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 when you want to show people or release PHP files or a project that you've created, always upload it to a paid hosting or a free hosting, but some kind of commercial hosting website. Because what you don't want is you don't want to have the inexperience of not setting this file up properly and you suffering for that. So there's lots of security aspects that when we enable settings and disable settings in this php.ini file, we tend to find that we're allowing ourselves vulnerability. So we can go down, you can see the standard syntax in here is that we've got the semicolon as end of a line. So, well, as a comment in this purpose. So you can see that we've got loads of semicolons here that are basically just commenting this out. So this won't be processed by PHP. So let's go down and find a setting. Okay, so you can see that things like engine on is not commented out. So these are settings that are currently in use and that you can modify. So let's go down and find something that we might change. Okay, so you've got things like zlib.output compression off. You've got a quite a descriptive description up here, quite an extensive description of what it does, as you do with most settings. So you'll find that a lot of this file is actually description. So we're not going to change any settings now, we'll leave that till later when we need to. We're going to talk about things like error handling and how we can change this inside our php.ini file. Just one more note is when you make a modification to php.ini, if you were to say print this out and go through and read it, and you might get to a stage in your programming where you know that you want to change a value. Now once you've changed a value and you've saved the file, so you go file and save, that's absolutely fine. However, what you need to do is you need to either restart Apache manually, or you need to bring up your XAMPP or similar control panel and stop this service before you restart it. So for example, if I was to change something in here, so if it was to change this value for any reason, I should then open up my XAMPP or other control panel, and I stop the service, simply stop the service. Let's press that again. Okay, so the service is now stopped. We can click start again, wait till that starts back up, and it's running again. Now what we've done is PHP has taken into account the changes that you've made and will now process them according to what you've written. So my strong recommendation will be to have a look through this, see if anything catches your eye, get to know different values and what they do, and read some of the descriptions if you have time, because it's a really useful file to know what you're doing with. A lot of PHP problems that crop up, like I said, are to do with files or to do with the values in this either being disabled or enabled or switched to something that not allowing a certain piece of code that you're using or certain method you're using on your website or code not to work. So php.ini file is basically the PHP configuration file for PHP. Have a browse around it, and hopefully it will be of some use to you in the future.